Good stuff. Hello, hello, hello out there, everybody. Hello, and you know who I am. That's right. It's Jessica Koch. I am your host, and this is Profound Professionals. It is the interview series that has been coming to you for 9 years now. That's right. I like to remind you because can you believe it? I can barely. 1,000 guests from all over the world that help improve your personal life or grow your business. Just you wait. Just you wait to see and hear who you've got today. So today we have Gary, and Gary is doing something super duper special. He's the founder of AI Twin, which is a privacy first digital support that learns your voice and your routines and your values, and it'll help you have more time, space, peace of mind, confidence across everything that you do in life and work. So whether you're talking about personal research and things you need done for you, or whether you're getting more done in your business in a voice that you can feel confident, sounds and feels more like you, well, then you are in the right place. So tell me, how did you decide to do this?
Thank you, firstly, for having me on today, Jessica.
My pleasure.
That's a good question. And the birth of AI Twin came on the back of a lot of personal frustrations. Um, I think we live in a world surrounded by a lot of noise, hype, notifications now, lots of different applications and subscriptions. And I wanted to find a way to instill calm and confidence into our digital
Mhm.
lives, that would move us beyond having all these fragmented and separate applications to almost having a single lens and view of the world, through essentially a digital assistant that becomes an AI extension of ourselves.
Mm. And tell me how does that happen? Tell us a little bit more about how that works, right?
Okay. I guess one of the kind of easiest way to kind of explain it, it would be that a lot of people use ChatGPT, for example.
Yeah, lots of people are familiar with that. That's a great example to give us a start.
Now, a lot of people have now got to the stage where they're now quite happy with what the output is. So it's starting to make them feel clever. They're starting to finish their sentences. It's starting to
Mhm,
understand who they are, who their dog is, maybe what their business is called. And I
mhm,
guess the example that I give around that is that the reason it's doing that is you have either knowingly or unknowingly been training it for the last 6 months, year, 2 years. Um, and I guess a way to think about it is if you were to wind back the first time you used ChatGPT,
mhm,
rather than go straight in and ask it for an email or a blog or a proposal, had you started your journey by saying, ChatGPT, my name's Gary, this is the business that I operate in, this is the area within which I work, these are the types of customers I go after, this is what I've used in the past as a maybe a marketing strategy or a sales strategy that's worked, this is what didn't work, this is who my team is, this is what they do well and not so well. Now help me create that blog post or proposal, or whatever it may be. And it would have reduced that time to value. Um, and that's part of what makes AI Twin special, because rather than you realize that value a year or 18 months down the line, we've designed it in such a way that it captures the essence of who you are within that first week of using the platform. And people
mm.
start to see results within the first few days.
Wow. Yeah, so I think one of the things that worries me is when I'm thinking about taking on a project like this and getting an AI to learn me. Like I had somebody did a webinar on creating your clone so that your clients could 24/7 ask you questions about marketing or sales or whatever your websites or SEO or branding, whatever your expertise is, right? And the AI could answer it for you. Is two things come to mind. One, I have a really difficult time, like especially one of the, I think, flaws in ChatGPT and even in creating custom GPTs is the limitation on how much information you can upload to them. And then the other hesitation for me too is, how easy is it to do that, right? How easy is it to feed and take the time to get the system to learn me? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's a valid concern. And then to kind of add to that further, there's general concerns around the kind of privacy, the guardrails and the framework within which you operate. We work with a very privacy and security first mindset. So unlike a lot of the applications out there, we let you opt in and opt out of any of the data that's shared within our application. We also have a number of different ways that we capture data as well. So part of this comes from some of the applications that you might already have, for example. Um, I guess an easy way of kind of speaking about that is even when you start thinking about things like health tracking devices, for example, watches and things that go around your wrist or
Yeah,
your
yeah.
body, um, and they're all good and well. However, a lot of the time, one, people either don't use it properly, or if they do use it, they only use a very small part of it, meaning they've captured all this normally very meaningful data and it's going nowhere. They've not done anything with it. There's no plan for it. It's just something that they use to track every now and again.
Mhm.
So a large part of what makes us special and different, I guess, is that we use only the best sources to capture truly who you are, whether
Mhm.
that's from a tone and voice perspective, or whether that's bits around health as well. So actually, how healthy or not are you? Um, and then we can
Yeah,
use
I
that
think
data.
I've been hesitant to do, so there's a couple things I've been hesitant. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm thinking about what you're talking about, and I don't want my personal health information, how well I'm sleeping or what my heart rate is or what any of that is. I don't want that out in the world. That's really private. And I don't understand the safety mechanisms or how to know what to trust. The other thing from a creativity standpoint is I have a very unique story and I want little support around writing my book, but I don't want AI to write my book, but I want to hold the copyright and the trademark to my book. And I do not want it shared anywhere with anyone. And so I haven't used AI to do any of that yet because I want something that's self-contained, that I own, that I know no one can ever see, and I have a guarantee that isn't going to be shared. And I haven't found that level of comfort yet. And so I'd love for you to talk about that.
Absolutely, it's a valid concern, and just to kind of give you a bit of reassurance there, Jessica, a lot of people are in the same boat with it. They don't know how far to trust it. They don't want to share certain bits of information. So the very first version of AI Twin wasn't actually built within ChatGPT for some of those reasons that you mentioned. It was actually built within Microsoft Copilot. And one of the big things that set Microsoft Copilot apart from the likes of public LLMs like ChatGPT is that it's grounded within your data with a security first mindset. Now, probably an easy example for that to capture the idea, I guess, is if you use Outlook within your organization, then if I was your employee, Jessica, you would send emails to me and I would send emails back. No one out with that tenant could view those emails. So we would have trust that we're operating within the kind of refines of that kind of tenant. And that is part of the foundational technology that makes things like Copilot the right next step for businesses when they're looking to deploy AI, because it
Mhm.
does give you that guarantee and trust that your information is not going anywhere. So you can upload a list of your customers, you can upload your ideas, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you don't need to be afraid of it going into that wider world. And although ChatGPT is now starting to implement some of those security features, it's not where Copilot is today, and that's that is that very type of technology that helps keep AI data safe and secure.
And is that something you get when you're working with the AI twin?
Yes, you do. So it's very much built with that in mind. There was actually quite a large public scandal that happened about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe a bit longer, where people's personal information that was captured through social media channels was used to influence elections. So that data was then sold and aggregated. And part of that problem stems from the fact that for too long now, a lot of software companies have been able to get away with capturing individual information and then selling that off to advertisers or marketing companies or whatever it may be. We very much build with the opposite in mind, that simply there's a very hard line there, that any data shared with an AI twin would be shared there, but you would also get the option to delete it at any point. And there would be a full audit log for where that information is and when it's been removed. So you have that confidence. So we don't do lengthy privacy statements. We have a very clear audit log that lets you see that you shared this and now it's been, for example, deleted from the system, meaning it's not going anywhere.
Well, that's really good. Okay, so if someone comes to you and says, okay, this AI twin thing sounds good. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to use it or how to start or what to do. How do you help clients? What's the next step, Gary?
So one of the things that we like to do, and this is where, again, a lot of businesses struggle with ChatGPT, is that they use it like a bit of a vending machine. So they go to it for something and they ask for something in return, which is all good and well, but it only helps them then tick off certain tasks or projects and not necessarily the ones that add most value or that's the most important to them. So we spend quite a bit of our time at the start capturing actually what's important to you. So if we think about it from a business lens, it might be that proposals might be actually what you need to work on, or actually hit pricing strategies. For example, there might be similar businesses across the world and you're not capturing how you benchmark against them. And then when you look at the personal side of things, maybe the thing that you need the most help with is the fear of turning up at a car garage and not knowing how much you're going to be charged for your annual car service or whatever it may be. So we spend that time in truly understanding those individual needs, and then we work to deliver against those needs within those first couple of days. So we know quickly people are getting the value that they need.
Now, that's really valuable because I say the only challenge really, I mean, there's a couple of, I guess, people have apprehensions and things like that with AI, but really to me, and we talked about AI being the Wild West right now. And, my standard disclaimer is we're not giving you financial, legal, or medical advice. AI is going to have rules and laws and all kinds of things. It's the Wild West right now. So you're grown up. You have to take care of whether you're watching this video today or 5 years from now. Make sure you check out what the local laws and rules are around how you use AI. But that being said, I love that you're meeting with them and helping them figure out what's the most important thing to get off of your plate with this AI tool, because it's our imagination that is our limitation. It really is. There's so much AI can do that we just can't even imagine how it can affect our lives and change our lives. That's truly it. Our imagination is our limitation, and what AI will do for us as an individual, as a society, as a world, in the kind of legacy we lead and the things we can accomplish in a lifetime versus what we could prior to it really being in the forefront of the conversation. Because the truth of the matter is it's been here for 50 years or longer. AI has been working in some capacity for quite a while. It's just now a dinner conversation at the table of families now.
Indeed. And one of the things you mentioned there around it being the Wild West, It really is. And you're seeing people use it in all sorts of ways. And there's not normally clear policies or guardrails in place. And we make a conscious effort to call them out when people use our platform. So, for example, one of the things that we can give and people can get on Google and ChatGPT is forms of medical guidance, but we call it out. We are not a doctor, and if you're ill, this might help you discover what it might be. But now take this information together with your medical history and go and see the doctor. And then you're truly making the doctor do real doctor work rather than the doctor sit and give you something from ChatGPT or Google. And this is no dig at the profession, because a lot of the time that's normally because of resources and having to see a large number of patients within a small period of time. However, we can't shy away from the fact that that happens in many countries, and that's simply not acceptable in my eyes. So there is a Wild West, and we try to bring the right users in and have the right guardrails in place so it doesn't remain the Wild West.
Yeah, so you're trying to assign at least a bit of a sheriff in town, a bit of a sheriff to help regulate things. Now, is this a monthly platform? Is this? It sounds like there's some coaching involved or onboarding. Like, what's happening here if I reach out to you and go to your website or call you or book an appointment with you? What's the next step? Like, how do they get to you and what's next?
So we've got the first iterations of it built, and it's done through a basic data capture. I'm actually helping onboard personally our first. I've got a number in mind in terms of number of users that I want to personally do, and that's really to have that approach, exactly as you said, that people understand what it can do. They also understand the guardrails within which they want to operate, and also, Jessica, is that I'm intrigued. So although I know what I built, I'm intrigued by how it will be used, because a lot of the time you have an idea in mind, but that's just not the way technology's ever worked. Is normally what happens is that the public decide how it will be used. So for the kind of initial batch of users that we bring on, and I've been doing this already, is that I hold their hands through that first part of the journey. So I do it through weekly calls. I've got kind of guides in place, and even the setup calls I'm kind of going through with them to make sure we're getting the right data. We're ensuring that we're delivering value, but then also just to understand what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and actually where they see the limitations, because that's what will truly help shape the product in the future.
I love that. I love that. So are they going to go to your website to start this process, or what? So what's the best website for you?
So at the moment, I've actually got it hosted on two platforms. So one is Stan. It's a new kind of platform that's used for kind of digital products and services. And the other one's a community called School that you might have come across. It's larger in the US than it is over here at the moment. And that's where I'm doing my initial bit of hosting. There is an application that's been made also. I've just got some adjustments that I've asked to have made on it at the moment, because I think we can come out with a better product, essentially. And I want to be sure that I'm proud to stand behind the platform when it's in its kind of finalized format. So for now, it's on Stan Store, it's on School. There is an application that's been built out, and we're hoping that should be released over the course of the next couple of weeks.
If they went to school, which is SKOOL,
Yes,
what would they search?
so it'll be under AI Twin
Okay.
and Copilot, so they can find me there. And I jokingly say that although at school, I very much treat this as AI university.
Yeah.
And rather than have those early kind of stage use cases, I'm more concerned with people that want to start using it right. They're not just looking for a shiny tool or a shiny image or a shiny video. I think there's plenty of people out there that can have those conversations. I'm more looking for the users that are more serious about using it more holistically within their organization, and the ones that truly get the fact that it's not just something that you bolt on to your existing processes. It's going to reshape the business entirely.
I love that. How about give us a tip that we can use today?
Okay, so I've got, well, I guess that one of the tips that I would share is what I mentioned at the start. So if there is a lot of people that are using ChatGPT at the moment and they're getting good results, I would encourage them to go back into ChatGPT tonight and build out and share a profile of who they truly are. So get a bit more of a deeper capture on who they are, what business industries they operate within, what types of customers they target, who some of their star players are within their organization, where they've maybe spent some money this year already on marketing, and what output they've got, and then start to kind of work with it, because I think it will drastically improve the output that people get as well. But I'm going to share one other with you as well. So I'm actually just bringing this up on my side because it's a bit of a funny one. So I might need to read it out as such, but I won't read it all out. But I'll give everyone the gist, I guess, of what we're trying to do here. But when you go into ChatGPT, a lot of people will find that it has a tendency to agree with you, which I think is very dangerous, especially if it's validating an opinion that is wrong. So within the instructions part of ChatGPT, so in the bottom left-hand corner, you go to settings and instructions. You can basically tell it from now on, do not simply affirm my statements or assume my conclusions are correct. Your goal is to be an intellectual sparring partner, not just an agreeable assistant. Every time I present an idea, do the following: analyze my assumptions. What am I taking for granted that might not be true? Provide counterpoints. What would an intelligent, well-informed skeptic say in response? And then test my reasoning. Does my logic hold up under scrutiny? Your role is not to argue, but it's to push me towards greater clarity, accuracy, and intellectual honesty. And that's a bit of a mouthful, and there's actually a lot more. But hopefully, people will get the idea of what we're saying there. We're basically saying to it, your job is not just to nod along; it's to truly challenge us to think better.
Yeah, and just remembering to do simple things too. Like when I talk to it, I say, think about and go back through all the chats we've ever had before and give me a comment or a statement that is going to help me promote this based on that, right? And it's really a different response than if I just say, give me some content or media on this subject. If I tell it to then also take into account every conversation I've ever had with it, it does think differently. About how it responds. So it is fascinating because I have been using it for a long time. And although I haven't programmed it exactly the way you said, I have been telling it to remember our conversations, remember what you know about me, and things like that. I say things like that to it.
Do you know what? I would encourage you to try Copilot. And the example that I always give for this, and this may or may not be applicable with you, Jessica, but I certainly think it will be with a lot of the listeners. So a very simple use case for something like Copilot over something like a ChatGPT product. And by the way, I'm not commissioned by either of them, so there's no affiliation there any longer, I guess. But within something like Copilot, it can help tackle a challenge businesses have had for years. So for so long now, businesses employ employees. Those employees learn more and more about the business while they're there, and then they walk out the front door, or they get promoted up, and that business information leaves with them. Um, and AI can start to handle that as well. So what you could do for that is that going forward, you would mandate that anytime any of your team is on a customer call, that it would transcribe that full call, capture all the actions, store them somewhere centrally, and it means anyone then coming in understands exactly what was said, but more importantly, what was promised, because business owners want to ensure that their customers are getting a good representation of them. They're not repeating themselves, and more importantly, they're following through on the promises that they've made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. That's really great advice. Let's talk about a nonprofit cause close to your heart and that you care about.
I would say at the moment it's children in need. So that's a big
Mm,
focus in the UK at the moment. It's a children's charity that supports children across a number of areas like poverty and
mhm,
social inequality, mental health.
Mhm.
I've got two children of my own now, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, it's definitely life changing, and I think it gives a lot of perspective on what we should prioritize while we're here. And I was raised by a single mother. Had a bit of a tough upbringing, and I can see that every child deserves an opportunity. They deserve to be feeling safe. They deserve for their voices to be heard. They deserve the support when it's needed.
Mhm.
So it's really nice to see charities like this
I love
get the attention that they do. So children in need at the moment, that would be
That's
mine.
a good charity. I love that you're sharing that. And, you know, that's a fascinating thing to think about, right? Because your AI twin can do things like research the best priced diaper or the most nutritious baby food or the best snacks to pack for a toddler or the highest learning toys and tools to get for your children for whatever gifting. And, there's just like so many things that you don't have to work that hard to think about anymore, but you can still provide the best. Yeah.
Spot and something else that again it's a bit of a personal example, but only about 5 or 6 months ago we found out my youngest was intolerant to kind of dairy.
Mm,
So it acts as a bit of a reminder for those situations as well when you go to certain places, because I've been guilty of still giving him something maybe he shouldn't have because I didn't understand the ingredients the way I should have. And if
mm,
I'm also honest, at times with another 4-year-old there, it's slightly slipped. And although I've got better at that, and it's something that no longer happens now, certainly in that first month or two after we were told, you almost had this kind of default behavior that you slipped into that you can have this when actually you can't have that. And that's because I've never paid enough attention to the ingredients that are
mhm.
there. So I think there's really meaningful examples as well within which something like AI Twin can help.
Well, yeah, because it can give you menu suggestions and if you're going to a certain restaurant, you're going there, you can ask for the best menu choices for that child. And, like there's so many things that you can do to have it help you prepare. And it can even find really wonderful, tasting alternatives for like ice cream and things like that, and the best places to buy them. And, it can do all that work for you. You just have to ask, right? I love the asking and you shall receive, from my favorite book of all time, ask and you shall receive, knock and the door's open. That is what AI gives us. And I love, love, love that. Speaking of books, how about a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business?
So this is actually, I would say both. It's both helped in my personal life and as I set up my business. It's actually a book by a gentleman called Mo Goddett, who was the chief business officer for Google,
Mm,
and he wrote a book called Solve for Happy, um, and it's based around essentially how we get happier as
mhm,
individuals and the stuff to watch out for. And I think it summarizes it quite or captures it quite well that normally your unhappiness is the gap between your expectations and reality.
mhm,
Um, and that's something that I continue to work on every day. Like that's just something that's inbuilt to me that we have certain levels of expectations on how things should work out or could work out. And when
mhm.
they don't, it becomes a gap there, and that gap causes unhappiness. So I read it. I've actually still got maybe a page or two or a few more just to read. So I'm right at the end of it. I've shared it out because the rest of the book was that good that I had to get others to read it. But
Mhm.
I'm still trying to apply all the practices from it. That's
Yeah. Sometimes it takes going back through a book 2 and 3 and 4 times to little section at a time and apply what you learn when something's really good. And really, there's so many books out there that can be life transforming, but they can only transform your life if you put them into action. And so that first read or that first audio listen usually is just the beginning of a journey in a book. in my opinion. You've got to then go through and begin to take action on the different sections and solutions that they're giving to you, especially ones that are for like self-help and improving your life or growing your business. Those kinds of books really usually have action steps you can take for what's next, right? To make this happen.
Spot on it. And do you know what? That's another thing that AI Twin actually helps with as well. So
Mhm.
one of the and that came on the back of me realizing that we read a lot of content, we capture a lot of really good stuff, and either it sits in your inbox or it sits on
Mhm.
the book on the shelf. When actually the bits that you've highlighted, they've stuck out for a reason. And if there was somewhere where you could capture them and have it remind you at the right time, then
Mhm.
that's when you really truly start to get the lessons from it. So it's something that we've built into the platform. And it actually came on the back of exactly that, Jessica, like reading books and always thinking it'd be great if I could do that, or I should do a little bit more of that. And you never get round to it. And sometimes people don't read a book twice. And I think there's just something there that you can fix with a little bit of technology.
Yes, I totally agree. And all of these authors, whether alive or no longer with us, I think their heart's intent was for us to be inspired and take action. And having an AI tool to allow us to be inspired by them and take action, both, which is the real formula here, is a beautiful thing that AI is bringing to the table for us. So I think that's awesome. Now, you haven't written a book yet. You got the AI twin out there, but do you have a gift or anything else about your program that you want to share with us?
So I am in the process of pulling together a bit of a guide, and I've shared actually a version of that on my LinkedIn today, just around the things that businesses should consider before rolling out AI. So
Oh,
even if
good.
people are on their journey already, I think it's also a nice point for them to stop um, and slow down in the short term to really accelerate in the short to medium term by
Mhm.
putting some of those foundational bits. So it's already available on my LinkedIn, and I'll make an effort to share it with you after this as well, Jessica. And that is just to get people thinking about the right stuff before they start to get distracted by the shiny stuff. And
Mhm.
a lot of that even just comes from I call it kind of getting your house in order. So
Mhm.
your data, where does it live? Is there duplicates? Is there out of date stuff there? Is your customer's name spelled correctly? And it's just about getting those components right to then really turn on AI, and then you can turn up the dials, and you start to get much better output, much better meaningful output.
You know, I just thought of a great invention, and maybe you can add this to your tool, and maybe your tool will do it. I don't know. I just had a brilliant idea. Do you know I have a something I believe AI could solve. I have data on my computer. I have data on external hard drives. I have data in Google Drive. I have data in Dropbox. I have data in, all these places. I would love for it to make sure that it's only lives one time in each of those places. Like, because sometimes I have six of them, the same download on my computer, and I do want one of them to live in all of those places. I want a copy of them all in one of those places, in every one of those places, because if something happens with Google Drive, I got it on Dropbox. If something happens with my computer, I've got it on an external hard drive. If something happens with that external hard drive, I got it on my main computer. So I'm a believer of duplicates, okay? Because data gets encrypted, things get infected, like all wackadoo stuff happens with digital data, right? So I want a copy in all my places, but I only want one copy. And I pay a lot of money for storage. So that solution would actually save a person ton of money and a ton of time, because I don't have time to go through and see how many of duplicates of a video or a picture or a download document or zip folder do I have that are exactly the same. Can you make me
Yes.
that, Gary? That's a good idea.
It's a big ask, and it's a great idea. It is something we have looked at. It's not in the first version at the moment, but I recognise, and as a platform and company, we appreciate that people have different data in different places, but they also have different what they will consider best practices for doing it. So you're absolutely right in having that approach, Jessica, because you wouldn't want your data tainted or for stuff to be lost. There's other people that want one single source of truth and they're happy to entrust the system. So we are looking at that at the moment, but there's still a bit of work to be done. But I think it's a great idea. I'll give it a little +1 from you.
Yeah, you put that on your checklist.
Yeah.
Things to do for Jessica. Yeah. I love that. It has been so much fun to have you on the show today, Gary. I hope you've had a good time and that you've enjoyed it. Before we roll off to the final thought and we start to close things out, I would like to know, are you using AI Twin right now? And what are like the top 3 things that it saved you time and money for in your life?
So I am using it at the moment, and the use cases. So I've been using it for probably about 6 months now, as I build it out and add stuff to it and improve stuff. And I can't tell you the number of different things it's helped me with. It's helped me remember my pet medication that's on. So you've got a different medication that I need to take, and I always forget which one it is and when I have to get it. It's helped me act as a bit of a reminder tool as well. It's allowed me to cook meals exactly like you mentioned earlier, in line with my nutrition plans and knowing what's in the fridge. So it amalgamated those informations and given me something meaningful. I've used it to prepare for doctor's visits as well, without getting it to act like the doctor, being respectful that a doctor is a doctor. I've actually just went in more prepared, and probably just personally, it's helped me with mental health as well. Because at times, a lot of I think we don't give enough focus to, for me, something that's so important. And a lot of the times I realised that I knew what I was feeling, but I struggled to articulate it. And actually using it as that sparring partner, like I mentioned, that intellectual sparring partner that gets you to a degree of honesty, it's helped me then put into words quite often what I'm feeling. That then enables me to do something about it. Because if it's just mess in your head alongside everything else and you can't explain it, I believe quite often you struggle to do anything about it. So the use cases have been expansive and they're growing every day, but I don't think there's a single part of your life it can't help improve.
Well, and that kind of thing, I love that you're building this thing that's closed and private, like the doors are closed and no one else can see this, because you wouldn't want to work through those feelings and have that be made public. You would want to make sure that if you're working through, a memory or a trauma or just where you're feeling right at this moment, you would want to be able to do that in a safe space. And so I guess you provide, when someone works with you, the parameters of how you're protecting the information, how you're keeping it safe, and all of that jazz. And I think that's great. And so, is it good for someone who wants to write a book like me, who doesn't want anyone to ever see the copyright or see, like, I don't want anyone to, to take my story is special to me, and I don't want anyone to take it, but I also want it to be able to reach out and do historical research. Like, I want the AI tool to be able to go and look up documentaries for me and tell me what was happening in history at this time, and tell me about what was the immigrant process when they came over on the boat, because some of that's part of my novel series that I'm writing, and I want to know, and I want some accuracy on that, and some sources and things to look at and read and watch and whatever. So is your tool set up for an author who wants to do something like that?
Absolutely, it can. And that's an excellent example, because you're giving it your tone of voice, you're giving it your memories and thoughts, and you're pointing it in the direction of those things that influence you. And another kind of click down example of that, whereby it can go back to historical information and bring up what's meaningful, is that I've identified a couple of things where it can help with even things like dementia or short-term memory loss.
Oh, wow.
By acting as that assistant that truly helps you remember the important things at the times that matter to people. I've been really mindful and conscious of those things. So I've spent a lot of time looking into it, building out those components. And it's why I'm not rushing it to market, because I can, like, with this type of technology, you can build an application in an hour or two and ship it out. But my kind of view on this is very long term and not short term. That I truly believe it can not just capture those memories from the past, but it can help reveal or bring to light the right ones at the right times. And that can absolutely help with something like a book as well. And here's quite a cool thing. So the way I'm planning on building this final version, and there's still a few updates to do before it can truly do this, but this is the vision, is that when you get to a certain stage in life, is that you can get it to write your life story for you in your voice.
That's very cool.
And there's just something in that. Again, in my head, it sounds like a great idea, and as we build it, it sounds quite exciting, but only the public will truly decide what it means to them.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, thank you so much again for being on the show. And if you're out there thinking, well, wait, I've invented a new software technology, I've written a book, I'm inspiring people out there. Well, you should come on, get on Profound Professionals. We'd love to feature you as one of our guests. We have over 1,000 guests we have promoted and featured globally. I'm very proud of that. And you could be one of those many that we feature here. So reach out to us and our team and we'll talk to you about getting on the show. But before we say goodbye, Gary, would you share with us a final thought as we go today?
Yeah, I have a final thought. So, and this is something I've been thinking more and more about recently. So quite often when we speak about AI, it's seen as this kind of big, bad, scary bit of technology that will change the world forever. And quite often it's viewed in a negative lens. And you've got to bear with me on this analogy, because I'm not sure if it's absolutely watertight, but in my head it kind of works. But if we were to see AI as this big hammer, now that hammer is simply a tool. Now, if we were to put that same hammer in the hands of everyone in the planet, surely that puts the odds in our favor as opposed to the technologies. And what I'm teaching people what to do within school is to how to truly swing that hammer. So yeah, that'd be my thought, because quite often when we speak about AI, it's seen as this big scary bit of technology that will bring all these kind of negative things into society, and there may be an element of that. But I believe we have an opportunity to truly put the odds in our favor by arming each of the individuals that are on this planet. Because if we get smarter as a collective, then surely together with its help, we can be smarter than it by itself.
Yeah, I love that idea. I always say, any tool that we've ever been given in the history of time can be used for both good and not so good. And social media has its ability, and the internet and the webs, to connect us from across the world. I'm talking to Gary in Scotland, right, or in the UK, and here I am, in Maryland, and it can do beautiful things. It can help us promote charities and spread awareness and spread positive stories. And it can also do things that aren't as loving and good. And so it's our job as a society, as a community, as a world, as a globe, as a humanity, to use the tools at all of our disposal to build something good. Because a hammer can build a home, it can build wonderful things, and you can also accidentally bump your thumb with it when you're building something. So it can be used for both positive and negative, right? So just about everything has a light and a dark. And so reminding us in our final thought today to choose to learn and discover the tools that are at our disposal in the world of AI and beyond, and use all those tools for the power of good. That's a good thought, Gary. Thank you so much again for being on our show. I'm your host, Jessica Koch. This has been another Profound Professionals. And until the next one, be kind to yourself out there and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.